Hello, everyone. Hello, Erin. Apologies for being a couple minutes late. I've had some issues with my camera today. It wasn't working earlier. I had to unplug it, replug it, all that normal, usual stuff. But I have a couple things to talk about this week. Didn't do a huge amount of reading, admittedly, but I still have four manga to talk about. Five, plus a light novel. Maybe one people are expecting. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll have to see. And yeah, so hopefully people enjoy. This week has been a little bit hectic, a little bit of lots going on. I hope everyone has had a wonderful week. Thanks for hopping in and spending your Saturday morning, night, whatever it is where you are. And yeah, I might wait just a second for those who might be interested. Should I tweet the link out? Maybe. I never know if I should advertise these more. But that just shows you how good of a YouTuber I am, honestly. So yeah, I hope everyone's had a wonderful week. I have a couple titles to talk about, some very interesting, others not so interesting, I think. Well, actually, no, I did like all of them. So I don't have complaints necessarily. Well, I do have one complaint, but it's nothing to do with manga. It's to do with the novel. And so yeah, maybe that's more indicative of my tastes, but I think long-time viewers, watchers, whatever, are aware of what I normally do. No, I don't want this. Go away. Let's oh, thank you, Rin. I appreciate it. I don't know. I always kind of feel weird about self promotion when it comes to YouTube and Twitter and that sort of thing because I don't know. I'm just a person. I'm just like, everyone else. So, I mean, it's counterintuitive to be on live stream with no one doing, like, just talking to myself. But to be fair, 90% of the videos that I make are me just talking to myself when I'm not on live stream. So, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But yeah, so I guess I'll get into the books that I read this week. It's been a couple minutes, and I'm sure people will pop in. So first and foremost, I read a couple titles from Tokyopop, a couple titles that I've recently received. First one being the BL title, probably better getting this out of the way first and foremost. But that is This Wonderful Season with You by Atsuko Yusen. This is the same creator as Dekoboko Days? Dekoboko Sugar Days? Oh my god. Yes, Dekoboko Sugar Days. Why did I blank on that? I don't know. Which I did like. Really, I thought it was really sweet. Hit me right in my biases with childhood friends to lovers. This is not that. I did like it. I did think it was pretty cute. It's about a boy who's in like the computer engineering class or in club at school, and he's trying to advertise the club because they need another member or else they'll get disbanded. And this like kind of gruff, cool, very popular, little bit standoffish guy bumps into him, but helps him, like gives him back the flyer or whatever. And then he's kind of immediately smitten. He's like, oh my God, he's so cool. He's basically like the perfect guy. I really aspire to to be like him. Rin, stop calling out my hypocrisy, okay? Well, it's not hypocrisy. They just keep licensing good BL titles, and I hate it. But I will just buy them because I want them, and I did really like this creator's other work. But so this guy like joins their club because he knows they need another member, and he's kind of disillusioned with life right now. And they grow closer, and kind of an opposites attract story, and it's pretty sweet, pretty cute. It's spicy in the last chapter as expected. I think the art is pretty like nice, not overly amazing or anything, but I do think it gets the job done. I think our protagonist is a cutie, and I just like it. It was pretty dang good. Color page. And I don't know, I have something about like the dweeb and like the super nerd and the jock kind of pairing. I don't know, man. It just appeals to me, and this did it well. So yeah, I liked it. I did like Dekoboku Sugar Days more than this, but I did like this. It's a pretty solid all-in-one like single volume book. And I'm looking forward to / dreading when Tokyo Pop licenses the sequel to Dekoboku Sugar Days, because that will happen because that's one of their best sellers, and because I want it, but also anyway, so yeah, this wonderful season with you by Atsuko Yusen. Yeah, it is a little bit, it's explicit at the end, so forewarning. Next is another I guess BL adjacent book. It's not from their love line because it's not a romance book. It's not a BL. It's a comedy, and that is BL Fans Love My Brother by Mimu Oyamada. And this is actually like I didn't find it like super hilarious. I wasn't dying from laughter, but it was funny. I did think it was quite wholesome as well. So this is the story of like a young woman in her late teens, early 20s. Her brother is 20 years old, just like total shut in. Hasn't left his room pretty much for the last 4 years. And she kind of accidentally walks in on him whilst he's creating his BL manga, because she finds out that he's this really, really, really popular doujinka or doujin creator for a particular couple from some anime Muscle Academy, and he's just like, he loves it so much, and he's like so dedicated to his OTP. And she doesn't get it. She's like, what? Oh, and he's like, please help me. I haven't finished my pages. He keeps asking her for help. And then kind of later uses her as a stand-in for photographs and to go to events and things. So he doesn't have to reveal that he's actually this this dojinka. It's pretty funny. It's pretty good. I really like the sibling kind of antics. I do think that these two help each other a lot. And after, despite like not really getting BL or like understanding this strange infatuation her brother has with these guys kissing each other, and and also that playing into his social anxiety and not wanting to leave the house. She helps, like she encourages and helps him to like gain the courage to is he paying her? I don't know. Yeah, actually he pays her in food coupons because she's like a huge carnivore. She loves meat, and so he'll give her like coupons to like luxury meat eating like places, and she's super like willing to do that because she's like, yeah, oh my gosh, all of this delicious meat. So yeah, they have an understanding. But yeah, so she encourages him to like be more self-assured and to be more self-accepting of like what he's interested in, and encourages him to kind of more engage more with this community and get the courage to actually reintegrate with society. Meanwhile, he's kind of ended up getting her involved in this subculture that she never had any interest in, and she gains this new appreciation for like independent creators or self-published like doujin stuff, and it actually inspires her to want to do this herself. And her skill level is like completely different to her brother's, but they're very supportive of each other, and I did like that. There's quite a few funny bits. It is quite like a nicely drawn series. I do think that there's a lot that, like, I guess Fujoshi and BL fans, Fudanshi, would be interested in. I think it's quite self-aware. It's quite funny. Also, like, not to be that guy, but she legitimately says that, like, this part they go to a theme cafe for the series that he's in love with, and the cashier is like, "Oh, I forgot your stamp card or whatever," and and she's like, "Dang, my brother deserves a muscle-bound boyfriend as much as the rest. We don't know his sexuality. We don't know anything about any of that, but I'd read it." And he makes a friend. Like, he meets one of his online friends. It's just great. And there's a part where he buys the like official uniform of the show that he's in love with, and in order to, I guess, get into the mind of the character, she's like, you need to wear it so you can like more she's actually like, you bought this, you should use it. But she tells him like, oh well, you can better write your doujin if you understand the characters and their mentality, so wear it. And then the parents are just so excited to see him like in a uniform and like sometimes going out. They're just so enthusiastic. Oh my goodness, maybe he's getting over his social anxiety. And the dad like starts all of this social media around the son, and then all of these people think like he's this hot new cosplayer because also he's really hot. And just like a whole comedy of errors, maybe. It's a pretty fun time. It was a solid little book. I did enjoy it. Yeah. BL fans love My Brother is the name of the series, or the book, I guess. It is just a one and done. I don't think there's anything else in this. And then Mimu Oyamara. I don't know why that last name keeps tripping me up. But yeah, it's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. 365801. It's quite wholesome. Like, it's funny, it's wholesome. The couple that he's really into is there's the color page as well. Tends more a bit more so on like the bara aesthetic than typical like BL. And I just think it's really good. So I do think that it's one that, if you're into it, if it sounds like something you might enjoy. As I said, I didn't find it like hilariously funny. I wasn't like cry laughing or anything, but I did think it was really good, and I will definitely read it again because it just kind of hit me in that heart part. So yeah, that was the second book that I read. For those who came in a little bit later, the first that I read was an actual BL title, which was This Wonderful Season with You. Very good. I do prefer this creator's other title, Dekuboko Sugar Days, but I did like this one as well. Anyway, I mean, I guess the premise is similar to High School Life of Fundanshi. I didn't like High School Life of Fundanshi very much. I just didn't like how it played with the actual gay character. I don't know. I had issues with it. This one, I didn't have those issues with. So, but if you do enjoy that one, it is kind of in that idea of like a guy who likes BL, which is good. Like, that should be fine. You're allowed to do that regardless of your sexuality. You don't have to be a gay man either, or bisexual, to enjoy, I think, homosexual relationships. But anyway, we'll get into the quote unquote normal manga. The first one, continuing series. Oh my gosh. Okay, I was like emotional after this volume. This is volume 8 of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Oh my god. These kids. Oh my god. So yeah, I just hello, Ray. Welcome to the live stream. I had to just kind of sit and not read anything after I finished this one the other day because I was so in my feelings. So not only do we have several characters dealing with certain revelations that they can't share with each other, we have the development of interpersonal relationships between Hanako-kun and Nene, and what is this? Ko and his brother, and the Amane, and and then Sasuke? Yes, Sasuke. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it hits me in the heart. They have a festival. So Ko's upset. The previous volume, he was confronted in the like Hall of Mirrors or Hell of Mirrors or whatever the heck that thing was, that school mystery was, and confronted by Sasuke there after he thought something happened to him, but now he doesn't recognize him. And I'm just like, oh no. And then meanwhile, he's also struggling with some stuff that he knows about Nene, some stuff that he's just kind of struggling with in general, his relationship with his older brother. And so Nene's like, well, why don't we go to a festival, you and I, because to cheer you up, because you seem pretty down. And he's like, all right. And then Hanako's like, I'm jealous. No, I have to stay in the school because I am a ghost. I cannot leave the school. Why don't we go to a different festival here in like the boundaries? So like, okay, let's do that. They went to a cool yokai spirit festival on Tanabata, 7th of July. And then some stuff, time travel kind of happens. And she's like, I wonder, why does this kid seem so familiar? I'm like, really? I don't know why people are so dumb sometimes. But also, I was like, dang. And then other stuff happens. I don't want to ruin it for people, but it was really good. And there's a chapter about Sasuke feeling really upset and kind of dejected with his current group. And then the cliffhanger once again would just like made me worried, because whenever Amane does anything, I'm worried. There's also a zombie chapter in this, which is pretty like, fun. It's kind of a breather after just like the emotional turmoil of several chapters. Although in saying that, there's a lot of hilarious. There's some very funny stuff in Hanako-kun. In the very beginning, I'll see if I can find it. Hanako, in a quite, I don't know, like, if you're into the Hanako Nene ship, there's a lot of food in this for you to enjoy. But so he like comes to hang out with Nene in class, and he starts like playing with her hair and doing stuff, and she's just trying to pay attention to class, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, revealed, here's your hairdo, and it's this. And I laughed so hard. And then I was like, imagine if you were in class and then all of a sudden someone in your class just like started yelling, and you realized their whole hair was just this giant pointed cone to this. I don't know how I would feel, but I would definitely laugh because I'm probably a bad person. That there's a whole other thing in the festival that was really funny. I just really love this series a whole bunch. I kind of don't really know how to encourage people to read this more than I already do, because I do think it's probably one of the most interesting and like compelling's the right word, series insofar as like mystery, and whilst also not being and very emotional moments, but being well balanced with that comedy. It kind of reminds me of a Noragami in that sense. Not the same thing, but similar-ish similar-ish premises. It does look like a Christmas tree. They call it radish, I think? Not radish. Some sort of vegetable. Yeah, maybe radish, because that's what they always call her legs, because she's got fat ankles. Yeah, horseradish to heaven. I don't they have all these cutaways to like different cameras of her reaction. Anyway, Hanako-kun continues to be one of my favorite series coming out. Obviously I'm biased because I do enjoy this sort of supernatural, it's not really yokai, kind of yokai, but like supernatural mystery, relationships between the inhuman and humans, this sort of boundary crossing mysteries. It just has a lot of things that I get jazzed about. And the moke are so cute. But yeah, I laughed. I didn't cry, but I got hit again right here, and then was just like, oh god, I'm worried for everyone. I'm worried about everyone. I'm worried for, oh god, what's gonna happen? put me out of my misery, honestly. Like, I love the series a whole bunch. If you haven't tried it, check out the manga. The anime is also great. And I just really love the style of it as well. The art style, just everything. I just love everything about it. On a similar but very different wavelength, maybe premise. The last thing I read also has to do with supernatural settings. This is okay. I will preemptively say that I enjoyed this. I knew that I would, which is why I got it. But we'll get into it, right? So I read Volume 1 of Holic by Clamp. This is, I think, actually the first, like, the anime was the first Clamp series that I was exposed to. I have seen season 1 of Holic, which was all that was released on DVD in English. I've seen Tsubasa. I haven't read any Tsubasa, but I know the premise of this is intersects with Tsubasa. They're related, just like, but more so than just the typical everything in Clamp is related to everything. Those two are very directly related. I'm interested to see if one of my libraries has Tsubasa, which I know is just a train wreck. Whereas Holic, like, if this was all that I knew about Clamp, I wouldn't have such an existential crisis every time I read anything else of theirs. But we know that's not the case. So, admittedly, and again, preemptively, I did know that I would enjoy this. I'm familiar with Holic. The premise is something that interests me anyway. I like these characters. I like the setting. I do think that the art style of Holic is really lovely. I think Yuko is a really interesting character. I really like Watanuki as well. I think there's a lot to enjoy with Holic. There's a lot to look forward with Holic. And it's incredibly, like, evocative of everything it wants to be. But I will say, reading this, every time there was a dumb thing that was a reference to something else, it's like, why? So they have the card captor Sakura's wand in this. It's a lead up to a joke that it's actually like a toy, but then they're talking about, like, the real one was created by this thing. I'm like, I don't remember who the creator of the wand is. Maybe that's from not Card Captor Sakura, because I don't remember if that was revealed. Someone with glasses. Is it the kid? Is it the kid who's actually like 100 years old but is having an affair with an adult teacher? I don't know. Oh, is it that guy? Is it someone else? Hello, Story Shells. Welcome to the live stream. You've come in at an interesting time. When I saw the Mokina in their little glass things, I was like, oh God, no, not again. It was like war flashbacks. It's like, why were we put on this earth just to suffer? And then one of the chapters, Watanuki goes to hello, Saria, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy the live stream. Watanuki goes to a pharmacy, and it's the pharmacy from Legal Drug or Drug and Drop. Either or, both are correct. And I was like, hey, it's the guys. Not the guys, it's the boys. It's the boys from the thing. I recognize the boys from the thing, and not the guys though. Not the guys, the boys. And I was like, okay, like I can live with that reference. I'm like, maybe this is maybe how like Clamp fans normally feel. They're like, oh, that's a fun reference that I understand. And I didn't really have an issue with legal, like those guys, like that reference, because they didn't like belabor the point and linger on it too much. They did. I was just like, this is unnecessary, but at least it kind of works with the whole idea. And then he's like, oh, I can see the thing. Like, there's a kimono, like, ghostly figure attached to the blonde boy. I don't know his name because I don't care and I don't remember. The idiot. They're both so dumb, but the more stupid one, the one with the greater psychic powers, or whatever the hell he has. And then, I was like, that's that weird, like, ghostly sister thing that I understand, but I'm also like, I don't care. I don't care. I know them. That's fine. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going. Go. We're not gonna stay here. And then, like, at the end, it says at the very beginning of this book, right, that, where is it? Before even the table of contents, it's like, Holic Volume 1 crosses over with Tsubasa Volume 1. Although it isn't necessary to read Tsubasa to understand the events in Holic, you'll get to see the same events from different perspectives if you read both. Which is true. And again, having watched Tsubasa, I do know, like, how all this... And so, like, I knew that, you know, spoilers for a very old manga, that Sharon and Sakura show up at the end, and I bet fans lost their fucking minds. I bet they fucking lost their minds when they're like, oh my fucking god, it's them! Holy shit! I was like, yeah, I knew this was coming, so it didn't, like, annoy me. There was another conversation where it's like, oh, Yuko's like, oh, I do know a medium. I've known him since this tall, and but he's really close with, like, I don't want to bring him into this, and he's really close with his twin sister. And I'm like, oh, maybe she's talking about the guy from the pharmacy, because was he a medium? He had some power, and he has a twin sister, I think. He has a sister. I remember that much. But then in the translation notes at the end, it's like, this is a reference to X / Tokyo Babylon. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong. But also, like, are those two characters the same from different? I don't. Clamp. Why? What? Oh my god, Clamp! Like, again, I enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to reading more of this. Don't get me wrong. I do really fucking love Holic. But, like, holy shit, dude. So... See, Ray, this is exactly... I know that Clamp fans, like, all of those Japanese teenage girls, they're reading... They read the new Tsubasa chapter and, like, oh my god. And then they, like, I don't know when all of this was happening, but they showed up and everyone just fucking lost their minds and, like, oh my god, the crossovers have become even more. And then I'm tired. I am so tired. Sorry, I do only have Twitter. I used to have an Instagram. I just don't really like that platform very much. I I never really got it, so I didn't use it very much. It was a bit inconsequential. I'm sorry. Um, so yeah, I do. I mean, maybe one day down the line I'll start another Instagram, but it's just kind of not in the cards for me right now. But yeah, sorry. I know that's kind of inconvenient, but I don't want to learn a whole new social media platform. Um, see, okay, like to this point, that was definitely how I have felt about a lot of the crossover stuff in majority of the Clamp manga that I've read so far. Um, I like Magic Knight Rayearth didn't have any crossover stuff that I noticed, and obviously Rig Veda didn't because they're earlier works before all of everything had to have everyone was some sort of alternate universe other person. And again, like I do know the spoilers for this, so it's not going to be a surprise. So preemptive to that. Apologies. But yeah, so I'm not going to be buying Tsubasa. Even just the show was like a clusterfuck. I'd watch stuff and just be like, I don't care about all of these things you're trying to get me to care about. References are not good content. Like, they're not good content. I said this before on the live stream in relation to Clamp, but it kind of feels like just a self version of like Ready Player One, where you just reference everything that you've ever done just to do it, just for the lulz, because like, hey, remember that one time we had this character, Legal Drug and Drug, whichever one it was, fucking Legal Drug, had a thing where it's like, hey, look, I need a schoolgirl's uniform or something because I need to infiltrate the thing, and the guy gets it from some girl, and then we linger on this girl for so long. I'm like, I don't know who she is. Viewer, you guys who stuck around, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, I don't know who this is. It turned out to be a Suki reference. I was just like, I don't know. That one directly, is that one the one that directly crosses over with Wish? And then there's this so yeah. I did like this. I do look forward to reading more of Watanuki and Yuko's, not adventures, I don't know if that's the right word, but like, this is it kind of appeals to me on a way, because obviously, like, Watanuki, for those who, okay, I just jumped into this. I know everyone watching knows what Holic is, but for the few who don't, maybe, who watches this after the fact, Holic is about a teenage boy called Kimihiro Watanuki, who can see spirits, has been able to see spirits his whole life. One day, after being kind of attacked by a spirit, he finds himself outside of a mysterious house. And when he touches the gate, his feet like literally drag him in to this building where he meets the dimensional Time Witch Yuko, who she's like, hey, welcome to my shop. Well, no, she doesn't say that. She says it much more elaborately and with a lot more I don't know, mystery around it, but also aggravating him, because that is definitely their dynamic, is Watanuki playing straight man to Yuko's constant aggravation. But she's like, hey, I can solve your problem. I can grant your wish, get rid of your sight, your spiritual sight, and your blood won't be like attractive to spirits anymore. And he's like, oh my gosh, you can do that? And she's like, yep, but you have to pay a fair price. This is a shop. And so he's like, well, I didn't really want to come in here anyway, but I'm kind of intrigued also. And she's like, well, I'll solve your problem, but also now you just work at the shop because that's going to be your fair price. When you've done enough work for me, then I will solve your issue. So he becomes her gopher, maybe, her whipping boy, as it were, and Ray. Ray. I don't know if it directly crossed over with Wish. No, Suki doesn't cross over with Wish. Wish crosses over with Legal Drug, and Legal Drug has a Suki reference into it. So I guess they do kind of cross over, but everything all crosses over with everything. So why? Nah. Anyway, so basically from there, Watanuki meets all various clients for Yuko's store, and again, shenanigans ensues. He has a girl at school that he likes, Himawari. He also has a guy that he can't fucking stand, Domaki. And he doesn't even really know why he can't stand him. He's just like, that guy just grinds my gears. But those two become very relevant later on in the story. As with Clamp, always something gay going on, which is not a bad thing. And Mokuna's there. Is it the Black Mokuna in this one? Yes, it's the Black Mokuna. Hasn't shown up yet. Well, I mean, in their cryopods they've shown up, but they're not around and talking yet, which is good. I can't stand Mokuna. Like, maybe that's really mean, but even in the shows, it's like, kill it. I don't care about Mokuna. I do not care about Mokuna. And because there's the white one and that they give to the Tsubasa children, and then it's a reference to Magic Knight Rayearth, where that was Mokuna another thing? I'm sure it was. It became kind of the mascot for Clamp. But yeah, anyway, this is good. Look forward to reading more. There's 19 volumes in all, plus a sequel series, which has 4 volumes out. It's been on hiatus forever. What else is new? Welcome to Clamp. Between X, which is never coming back because it's never going to come back. This and Drug and Drop. And is there another one? Like, is there more on hiatus? I feel like there's more. Probably. So yeah, I read this. It was good. I liked it. It was exactly what I expected it to be, which is not a bad thing. I liked it a lot. This is, as of right now, my favorite Clamp title. As you guys all know, I'm very much in a interesting relationship with Clamp. Respect for them, but not that much enthusiasm for their works. Gate 7, yeah, or something. That's another one that's on hiatus. I wonder how many references that one has, because I'm kind of morbidly curious. Again, because the thing is, my library system across like 4 different library systems has like the weirdest volumes. Like, they might have the Omnibus 5 for Tsubasa and like 11 and all of these weird volumes, but no volume 1. I'm like, I guess it's a sign from the almighty God that no one should be reading the mess that is Tsubasa. So, oh my gosh. It's an interesting predicament. I might get it digitally, who knows. Chobits I haven't read either. So, yeah, I need to read. I don't need to read them, but oh my god, is Wish ongoing as well? I haven't read Wish. Have I read Wish? Maybe I have read Wish. I don't remember. I think I've just experienced Wish via like other Clamp series referencing it. I mean, Ray, I don't disagree. Have I really loved any any Clamp stuff? Holic is the one. Even like Kobato, which isn't really any bad. I fucking hate it. It's so and Chobits, like, the thing is with Clamp, they're so ubiquitous, they're so popular, they're so famous that you can't go into it blind. You know what the premise is. And you know, like, that it's going to be a mess and there's going to be 5 million things happening. I'm kind of intrigued though, like, because I want to know how wild the Clamp ride can, because so I haven't read Chobits, haven't read Tokyo Babylon /X, which I am actually interested in that one. I do think that one would be good /interesting /not as hair-rippingly infuriating as some of the other titles. Haven't read Tsubasa. I don't think I've read Wish. Maybe I have. It's, oh my god, I don't remember. I haven't read Clamp School Detectives. And I haven't read Gate 7. And I haven't read Suki. And I haven't read, I feel like there's something else. Angelic Layer. That one. So that's like 9 titles. Plus there's like spin-off sequels of some of those titles. So Clamp, you just have too much. And then you try to talk about all of those things as if they're all relevant in every story that you do. And it's not. No, I don't want. But eventually the time will come and I will probably have read all of Clamp. And I don't think my opinion overall will change too much about, and there are other weird shit. I don't even know what I see, because as I said, this made a reference to Tokyo Babylon, and like, I'm interested in ESP powers, and I mean, I'm not interested in having earthquake powers, but like, that'd be an interesting thing to read about. I think there's a lot of, but I don't want child and adult relationships. I don't. Oh my god, why is Clamp so weird? Clamp! Oh my god. Oh, you, Rin, honestly, like, that's messed me up, that information. I'm just, how did they get so popular? How I mean, create the content you want to see in the world, but like, how did they get so popular? Was it, I mean, they were popular in the doujin scene. Like, I know how they got popular, but like, how did they get so mainstream popular is my question. Because you can be popular as like you can be popular as a doujin creators with like some interesting ideas, But like, how does that translate into this decades-long, huge popularity, massive respect, just empire of media, when you have so much like underage relationships, everything is a clusterfuck of like weird references, everything is just the strangest. I don't know. And that's not to take away from their success, obviously, as I've always said. Like, congrats to them. But Holic is definitely the only one of their series that I will buy, unless something really changes my opinion and attitude in the coming months, years, whatever else. Maybe Tokyo Babylon /X will be the next one that I am comfortable enough with buying. But I will have to try that one first because I don't. At least this one I've seen the show, and I have X. I like have the TV show of X, so I should probably actually watch that. But anyway, that's the end of the manga. I do have one more thing to talk about though. This was my kind of disappointment of the week. I don't know, disappointment. I just found it really boring, really. So for wrap up, I read 4 manga, 1 BL, which is This Wonderful Season with You, another Tokyo Pop title with BL Fans Love My Brother? What? Which is not a BL, despite having BL in the title, just by the way. Volume 8 of Toy Bound Hanako-kun, wonderful as always, and Volume 1 of Holic by Clamp, which obviously I had a meltdown over. I didn't have a meltdown over this, but I did have a meltdown over Clamp. But what else is new? Like, that's why you pay to see the show, right? Like, that's where you guys hang out with me, I'm sure. But so I read a light novel this week. Well, I finished a light novel this week. I didn't start it. It took me, oh my gosh. So I tried reading this when I first got it, which was a couple years ago now, and just was like, yawn. Wow, really not interested in this. And then I was like, I need to read a light novel this month. Holy shit, I haven't read a light novel in a while. And so I had a poll. This one won. She was like, alrighty, I'll do it. And it was actually meant to be a light novel to read this week. It's been 3 weeks, right? And I got one chapter into it. I was like, oh my God, what? Oh, Mom, no. And then I kept taking it with me because, like, oh, okay, I'll read it in the car when I'm like waiting for something, or when I have some free time. Maybe I'll read it on the train to work. I don't know, man. And then I just never did. I just like refused to read it. And then yesterday and today, I was like, I need to finish it. I just need to bite the bullet and get it done. And I did it. And that is Record of Lodoss War, The Grey Witch by Ryo Mizuno. The original light novel. Original concept by Hitoshi Yasuda. So again, this is another thing that I was aware of, like, what the story was, because I've seen the OVA. I previously owned the OVA. And so if you don't know, this is considered like the first original light novel. And it's kind of where this idea of, I get a light novel, a easy read, came from. And very popular in Japan, obviously, basically birthed a new type of media, but also birthed a lot of like spin-offs, and there's manga adaptations, anime adaptations. As I said, I used to own the OVA series. sequels, etc., etc., etc. And it's kind of known for being like inspired by the creators, like a campaign that the creator and his friends did in D&D, right? Dungeons and Dragons. And that's what it is. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's just a D&D campaign on paper. And, like, I don't know. I found it really boring. I just prefer to play D&D. Like, it's this epic fantasy store. Okay, so where's the front page? So here's our cast of characters. We have Parn, who's our noble, plucky, hot-blooded main character, fighter, who's trying to, what's the word? Find out the truth behind his father and, like, get respect for him or something. I don't know. There's Deedlit, a high elf, who is super good at fighting and is the girl of the group. We have Eto, who is Parn's like childhood friend and is a cleric in training for the god Ferris. And then there's Woodchuck, who's a thief, who spent his whole like life, youth in jail, recently was pardoned and is now out. And then there's Slain, our wizard, who does magic. And then there's Gim, who's a dwarf. And that is a dwarf warrior. So that's our cast. Pretty typical D&D group. So basically, Parn and Eto are like, man, no one in this town appreciates us. They almost get fucking murdered by a bunch of goblins. I almost said gremlins. That would have been more interesting. No, goblins. There's a goblin problem in their town, and they go off to fight. And Parn's like, we need to rouse the men to fight these goblins. And Eto's like, I don't know. Well, no, he doesn't sound like that at all. That's unkind. But he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think that they'd be that interested. And all the men are like, nah, we don't. We know the goblins are dangerous, but we're not going to get involved. Nah. So, like, we'll do it ourselves. Meanwhile, Gim is on this journey to retrieve the lost daughter of some woman. I don't know, some woman that he's had this relationship. Yeah, Woodchuck it. And then they just call him Wood for a lot of the book. I'm like, man, brilliant. Love it. Tick. Gim is looking for this like lost daughter, not his daughter, the daughter of this woman who's been missing for wherever, and then and he feels responsible because she left / disappeared / was kidnapped. I don't really remember what happened to her, because the mother had to go to Gim's side because he was sick. Like, I don't know, he feels responsible. So he's gone on this quest to find this girl. He hits up his old friend, Slain, who's like this old wise, well, I mean, he's just living in this town. He's kind of not that interested in getting involved with stuff, but then here's the call to adventure. And then whilst those two are having their meetup, they hear from the mayor or whatever, that these two idiots are about to be killed by goblins. So they go help. They're like, oh my gosh, he has poisoned by a thing, like a goblin poison arrow or something, and then is sick, and then is nursed back to health. And then he's like, I owe you my life. Let's go on an adventure. So I don't really remember what they're trying to fight the Demon King or something. Well, there was a demon war right? And it's been 30 years since then. I guess because these two are looking for this girl, they're like, "Well, we'll join you. We need to get out of this place." And then on their way there, they meet Deedlit, who's like, "Hey, I don't really remember why she joined their party. Parnes like tried to save her, and then didn't realize she was an elf, and she totally kicked her attackers' butts or whatever. And then, yeah, some just joined up with them." And then there's racism between the high elf and the dwarf. And then they're in the city, and the whole kingdom is celebrating because the birth of a new child, the king's new child or something. I don't really remember. They're celebrating, and Woodchuck, that's why Woodchuck was pardoned. And then he's just kind of hanging out and overhears their story, and then it's like, "Hey, you guys seem to know what you're doing. I might be able to make some money," because he doesn't have any money, and he can't join the Thieves Guild anymore because he doesn't have any money, and he's too old to be thieving in his usual ways. And because he spent like 20 years in prison. That's rough, dude. So yeah, and then it's literally a D&D campaign, because like they fight the goblins and they get another quest, and so they run into this evil sorceress who's kidnapped a princess, and they save the princess, but the evil sorceress is gone, so they still gotta defeat her, and maybe that sorceress is related to the other girl that Gim is looking for. And it's just like, if you've ever played D&D or like a tabletop role-playing game, then you know that these are all someone's characters, and they're just going on some crazy adventure that the DM was like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be an epic fantasy story. Here's some pictures." There's like a whole bunch of color pages at the back of this. And oh my god. Yep. I mean, again, it was just a D&D campaign, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. But also, for me, I just prefer to actually play D&D, because also it's like too much of a normal, like how D&D is supposed to be played, quote unquote supposed to be. Like it takes itself super seriously, whereas I don't know about you guys, but every D&D game I've been in, there's always like a bard who wants to seduce every monster, and then there's like, you'll try to do a spell and then it doesn't work, so then you try to use a different spell and it's not meant to be used for that whatsoever, and the DM's like, please, this is the worst idea. This is not how the rules are supposed to work. It's like, no, we're going to try it anyway, and then you roll super high and it does work. And so like, real D&D games are fun and crazy and chaotic. They really let your imagination go wild, especially if you have like a lot of lateral problem solving skills. And then there's like the proper way to do it, I guess, where it's just like this cool fantasy where you fight a bunch of monsters and then you win a thing, and you fight a bunch of monsters and then you win a thing, and you fight the big bad monster, and then yay, you finish the campaign. What do we want to do next time, adventurers? And that's exactly what this is. Holy shit, there's a moment where they fight a dark elf, right? And it mentions, like, it actually legitimately mentions that, I think Woodchuck, which would make sense, goes through, like, they kill this elf and then he goes through his pot, like, all of his belongings to take shit. And I'm like, I mean, he is a thief, but also that's exactly what you do when you defeat enemies is you go through all their shit to see if they have something interesting. You loot the corpses. And it was just like a weird thing to read about our protagonists doing. Yeah, I wasn't super impressed by this. I've read enough fantasy and adventure fantasy to be like, yeah. I've played enough D&D to be like, man, I feel like there was a more fun way to do this. But then it wouldn't be a cohesive story in the way that this book is. I don't know. I just feel like someone should have tried to seduce a dragon or something. That would have been way more fun and way more interesting. So yeah, moral of the story, play D&D. It's a good time. Maybe if you're super into like epic high fantasy and you don't care about something blatantly just being a D&D campaign on paper, then this is for you. And this is a very popular series both in Japan and otherwise. The OVA is very popular, and I guess it does appeal to high fantasy because that for a long time especially wasn't really something that was in a lot of anime. But now, especially with like isekai, we do see like high fantasy tropes and D&D tropes and, you know, video game tropes and all of these things much more often in anime and manga, in light novels. So it feels harsh to say, but obviously because this is an original, like the original light novel, it felt dated. It felt samey to everything that's kind of come after it. Well, not everything, but it felt like, you know, this is an 80s D&D campaign, which is exactly what it is. And so, you know, I just find if you're wanting like an epic fantasy, if you're wanting more interesting characters, if you want a more interesting world, there's a lot of others that I would recommend over this. And yeah, I mean, I finished it and like prose was fine. I am one of those people who has like the red ink version, the misprint from the original run, which has since been fixed, by the way, for anyone reading or wanting to read it now. But yeah, I didn't like this. Straight up, I just didn't like it. It's going on the sale pile, and yeah, really not that interested. I'd say like if you're wanting to experience the story, the OVA is good. I do think it's I mean, it's more visually interesting if nothing else, but I will say that I did fall asleep like 3 times during the OVA as well. So like I don't know how much of a recommendation that makes it. Anyway. So that was my reading for this week. A light novel, or a novel that is the precursor to light novels that I found a snooze fest. And 3 good manga. 2 I guess 3 themes, but 2 general themes, all of which I liked. So all of this balanced out this, but in saying that, this was the last thing I read. So, you know, weighing up the pros and cons. Pros and cons. What on earth did I almost say? I said quan. Where did that come from? So that's all that I read this week. As always, thanks guys for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed, even though, you know, I wasn't as enthusiastic about pretty popular title, maybe. I did like everything else, even if I did have a meltdown on live stream as per usual whenever I have a clamp title. And like, it wasn't a huge amount of reading, but it was enough reading. I think that's enough for a week, right? All right, that's perfectly fine. As always, yeah, thanks guys for hanging out with me. I always appreciate it. Not sure why I had like technical issues just at the very beginning. It was a little bit late, so I don't camera work is always professional here. You guys know that. No, it just my webcam just didn't want to work at all. So it's been a time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video whatever that may be. Hopefully, like, not just another one of these. I should put out more content than just live streaming and then a whole video and then a podcast video. I do have other stuff that I make sometimes. No, I do have some first impressions review videos in the pipeline. I have a couple art book overviews as well, so look out for that. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, wonderful rest of your day, night, whatever it may be, wherever you are. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye till then.